Loid notices that Yor goes out at night, only to return with bloody cuts on her hands. It's not part of her secret assassin work, though. She's getting cooking lessons, which is even more terrifying.
Argofont Book Review, Argofont Book Review.
Yor is being taught by her mean coworker. Yuri is on the cover of the book, so he comes over to have some food. Yor's cooking is so bad it makes everyone throw up. Yuri actually likes the vomit food because it's the kind he had growing up. I can't tell if vomit food is more funny or gross. Yor learns to cook edible food when she cooks a stew that her mother used to make. She's surprised at how happy her family is and how genuinely good that makes her feel. Anya tries bringing a family photo to school to impress Damian. This doesn't work because Becky thinks Anya's dad is totally dreamy. She steals the photo before Anya can show it to anyone, and she later makes a model of Loid in art class. Maybe Anya should avoid inviting Becky to her house for playdates. Anya humorously fails when making a model of her dog, and she fails when trying to help Damian make a griffin. Fortunately, he still wins first place, because the judges mistake the terrible-looking animals for an abstract piece with a political statement on war. School exams are coming up. Anya is horrified to learn they're being tested on the day of a new moon, meaning she can't use her psychic powers to cheat her way to success. She tries using Bond's powers to get test questions, but all Bond can think about is dinner. Fair enough. Yuri is on the cover of this book, so he comes over to help tutor Anya. As usual, he overreacts to pretty much everything that Anya and Yor say. Okay, that's true of like every character in this series, not just Yuri. He eventually gets so upset with Anya's incompetence that he storms out of the apartment in a fury. Hilariously, he storms back in to eat some cookies and storms back out again. Loid is pretty sure Anya failed her exams. He decides to break into the school vault and change her answers before the tests are graded. Someone else had the same idea. They hired a terribly incompetent spy named Daybreak. Daybreak does everything wrong, but he still thinks he's the best spy ever. Loid is forced to cover up Daybreak's many mistakes, otherwise they'll both get caught. Daybreak changes Damian's test answers so they're all wrong. Loid changes them all back. This takes so long, he doesn't have time to change Anya's answers. She finishes in the bottom 7%, but she didn't fail any classes, so she considers it a victory. It turns out Daybreak was hired by a strange boy named George Glooman. George mistakenly believes his family is bankrupt because of Damian's father. He tries to frame Damian for smoking and fighting. George confesses the truth to his classmates. Everyone goes out of their way to make sure George's last day of school is the best day of his life. When it turns out he's not being ejected from school, everyone demands to have their stuff back. The next school project is to job shadow an adult. Yor's assassin job is way too violent, so Anya goes to the hospital where Loid works. She plays in his secret spy escape tunnel, and she accidentally scares people into thinking ghosts are real. Her final report makes Loid sound like a dangerous maniac. That's accurate, so I hope she gets a good grade. The final part of the book introduces a new spy named Fiona Frost. She never shows any emotion. She thinks Yor is the wrong person to be Loid's fake wife. She tries to get rid of Yor by insulting her and making her feel inadequate about her marriage. How is this different from what Yor's co-workers do on a daily basis? Seriously, there's a lot of people wanting to sabotage this marriage. Anya reads Fiona's mind. She's shocked to learn Fiona is secretly in love with Loid. She desperately wants to marry him. That's why she hates Yor so much. Anya counters by being extra affectionate to Yor. Fiona's pretty devastated when she realizes Loid is genuinely happy with his family. Fiona hopes to win his love during their next spy mission. In a short bonus story, Bond attacks Anya's stuffed penguin in a fit of jealousy. Loid repairs the penguin, and Anya forgives Bond when he feels sorry for what he did. The end. Postbook follow-up. I definitely enjoyed this volume, which has a bunch of short stories. It contrasts with the previous book, which was all one longer story. Maybe it's just me, but I think the humor was off in this volume. I didn't laugh at any of the jokes with Agent Daybreak. I could tell he's supposed to be super funny, but I didn't find him amusing. That was followed by the George story, and I have no idea if George is supposed to be funny or not. He's mostly just weird. I was confused when the story flipped a switch, and suddenly George goes from being a villain to everyone's new best friend. Finally, there's Yuri. Half the jokes with him center on the fact that he is weirdly obsessed with his older sister. I find that far more creepy than funny. He's been treated as a joke character long enough that I don't think the series can return him to his original role as someone who poses a legitimate threat to Loid's marriage. Don't get me wrong, I still liked the book, but the humor did not work for me about half the time. Maybe your mileage will vary. I saw another person complain the jokes failed because the stories are being repeated, especially the story of Anya being bad at school. Maybe that's the issue? I would definitely love to see Yor get a new story that isn't her co-workers making her feel bad. I think a story about her assassin life is long overdue. I give Spy X Family number 5 a 6 out of 10.